Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Murphy of the Sports Insanity Network, and welcome to a very special edition of Murphy's View. Well, today, June 2nd, we commemorate the life, the legacy, and the career of Henry Louis Gehrig. Throughout Major League Baseball, it's Lou Gehrig Day. And the reason why today is Lou Gehrig Day to commemorate two things. First, his major league debut start on June 2nd, 1925, and to commemorate his death on June 2nd, 1941. Today, Lou Gehrig began his career and his 2,130 consecutive game streak at a game at Yankee Stadium, making his first official start, going 3 for 5, hitting 3 doubles in an 8-5 win against the Washington Senators after first baseman Wally Pipp took himself out of the lineup complaining of a headache. And that was the day that started everything for Gehrig. Like I said, 2,130 consecutive game streak that ended on April 30th, 1939. With that, here are just some stats. He was a 7-time All-Star, won 6 World Series, won 2 American League MVPs in 1927 and 1934, and won the Triple Crown in 1934 with an average that season of 363 with 49 home runs, 166 RBIs, and he is one of only 2 Yankees in franchise history to win the Triple Crown, the other one being Mickey Mantle in 1956. In 1935, Lou Gehrig was named captain of the Yankees and did so until his retirement. He holds the MLB records of most consecutive seasons with 120 plus RBIs, highest on-base percentage by a first baseman with 447, and highest sluggage percentage by a first baseman, 632, and most extra base hits by a first baseman, 1,190, and most grand slams with 23. He had a career batting average of 340, 2,721 hits, 493 home runs, and 1,995 RBIs. Gehrig had a promising career going, but then he started to decline. Some are saying that it started around 1938, when his batting average was 295 for the season, down 351 the previous season. And they have noticed in spring training that something was wrong with him and didn't possess the power that he once had. And that he collapsed during a spring training game in 1939. During spring training, a sports writer by the name of James Caan famously said, "I think there is something wrong with him, physically wrong, I mean. I don't know what it is." Okay, that quote was not during spring training. That was in April. I apologize. But during spring training, he collapsed, and something was wrong, because this was a man who, one time after getting beamed in the head and being unconscious, the next day he was playing. In another game, he had a back spasm and he played the next game, even though that game he had to be carried out. This man, who was nicknamed the Iron Horse, something was severely wrong. So he then ended up on May 2nd, 1939. Babe Ruth not Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig went over to Joe McCarthy and said that he was taking himself out of the game for, quote, the good of the team. And on that day, when he was out, when he got taken out, the announcer at the stadium in Detroit said, Lou Gehrig's 2,130 consecutive streak has just come to a close. And it was met with a thunderous applause. And then Gehrig's wife booked an appointment with the Mayo Clinic. And it found out, because of his mysterious loss of strength, that Gehrig was diagnosed with a rare disease at the time called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, that he would eventually lose his motor function and become paralyzed, and his central nervous system would be destroyed. So that month in June 1939, Lou Gehrig announced that he was retiring from the New York Yankees. So the Yankees rushed to honor him and hold Lou Gehrig Day. And in that ceremony, they retired his number, making it the first ever number from a professional sports team to be retired, number 4. And that day, there were speakers such as Yankee manager Joe McCarthy, New York City Mayor Fiero LaGuardia, and the U.S. Postmaster General. Lou Gehrig actually did not intend to speak that day. He didn't want to. When the ceremony was over, or was said to be over, the technicians came on the field to remove the microphones. Joe McCarthy put his hand up and told them to wait. He went up behind Gehrig and whispered something in his ear. What it was, we'll never know. And pushed Gehrig to the microphone. And then Lou Gehrig made what some people would refer to as the Gettysburg Address of baseball. We've all heard it. Here's this whole thing in its entirety, not just the clips you see on ESPN or Major League Baseball Network. Like, the whole thing wasn't recorded, just that famous part, but here it is, the whole thing in its entirety. Fans, for the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad break that I got. Yet today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I've been in ballparks for 17 years, and I've never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans. Look at these grand men. Which of you wouldn't consider it the highlight of his career just to associate with them for even one day? Sure, I'm lucky. Who wouldn't consider it an honor to have known Jacob Ruppert? Also the builder of baseball's greatest empire, Ed Barrow. To have spent 6 years with that wonderful little fellow, Miller Huggins. Then to have spent the next 9 years with that outstanding leader, the smart student of psychology, the best manager in baseball today, Joe McCarthy. Sure, I'm lucky. When the New York Giants, a team you would give your right arm to beat, and vice versa, sends you a gift, that's something. When everybody down to the groundskeeper and those boys in white coats remember you with trophies, that's something. When you have a wonderful mother-in-law who takes sides with you in squabbles with her own daughter, that's something. When you have a mother and father who work all their lives so you can have an education and build your body, it's a blessing. When you have a wife who has been a tower of strength and shown more courage than you dream existed, that's the finest I know. So I close in saying that I may have had a tough break, but I have an awful lot to live for. Thank you. You know, the New York Times called that the most touching scene on a baseball field. Gehrig's speech was then received with 2 minutes of a standing ovation. You know, from my own personal reflection, I look back on that and I'm thinking, when I was a kid and I first heard, granted, I only heard, today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I didn't hear the rest of it, but I always sat there and thought, what when I was a kid, I was always sitting thinking, how come this man who knew he was gonna die called himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth? For years, I never got that. I never understood why. But then once I got older and read the whole speech, I finally realized why. This man was so grateful to what life had given him. And this wasn't a speech saying that I'm going to beat this thing. This was a man who knew what his fate was going to be. And he gratefully accepted it. And told everybody, his family, the fans, those who made such an impact on him. And he told them that he was grateful. And to this day, when I hear that speech, I literally get chills. And my eyes literally wall up with tears when I hear it. Probably one of not the best speeches in baseball, but one of the best speeches in American history. Like I said, they refer to it as the Gettysburg Address of baseball. And what's even more humbling about Lou Gehrig is after his baseball career, he actually worked for the New York City Parole Department. And he had a lot of lucrative opportunities to make guest appearances and speeches, but he turned it down because he wanted to serve the public. And he privately visited New York City correctional facilities. And a young man actually credited Lou Gehrig for helping him turn his life around. So it's not only, Lou Gehrig wasn't just a great ball player, he was a good man. Like, he could have taken those other opportunities and lived comfortably for the rest of his life, but he decided he wanted to help others. And getting back to baseball for a second, months after he retired, he was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame via special election, making him one of only 2 players of that to happen in baseball history. The other one being Roberto Clemente in 1973. And then on June 2nd, 1941, Lou Gehrig sadly passed away at the age of 37 years old. As today we think about his career, his legacy, of what he has left behind. And sadly, when it comes to ALS, the disease that took his life, which is commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, sadly, there has not been much progress made. I remember last year on Lou Gehrig Day, Michael Kay was talking about someone from an ALS organization who told him that if somebody was diagnosed with ALS today, they would have received the same prognosis that Lou Gehrig did in 1939. when he was given a 50-50 chance in 3 years to live. So in light of that, I want to do some good here. I'm putting a link to the ALS Association of America in the description of this video. So please, I know financially this could be a hard time for a lot of people. So every little bit helps. If you have $1, you had the ALS Association made $1. If you have $5, the ALS Association made $5. If you give $1 million, the ALS Association is $1 million away from their goal from one day treating and curing this horrible disease. Thank you for watching. I'm Bill Murphy from the Sports Insanity Network, and I'll see you next time.